I thought I came off mute already. So as I said, I'm Joe Smith. I am the immediate past district director, which translates to I was district director last year. Prior to that, I have served as an area director twice, division director, club growth director, program quality director, and numerous officer positions. I have held every officer position, I think, multiple times at this point. Currently, I'm the president of Mainline Toastmasters and, of Haverford Toastmasters and, brutally honest, with Love Toastmasters. So I want to talk today about strategic planning because we're in the beginning of the year. June may seem a long way off. It'll be here before you know it. If you do have any questions, Rhonda is going to be monitoring the chat and she has permission to interrupt me if there's a relevant question. So just notice everybody, we already went over this, that, if you're going to be, this is going to be recorded and shared. If you don't want your face shown, don't show it. Why plan? Well, fulfill the club mission, which if you were on the earlier training, Rhonda shared that, and that is we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. That's why the clubs exist. We want to provide a place where our members can grow and achieve whatever goals they set out. And next is we want to set and achieve goals. We want to measure progress. And this, if you only take away one thing that I say from this training, let it be this. We are there to meet the needs of the members. Without the members, there is no clubs. And without the members in the clubs, there is no Toastmasters. So always remember, we're there to serve the needs of our members. So fulfilling the club mission, who are our club members? Is it a corporate club? Is it a community club? Is it a collegiate club? The type of club will determine the makeup of the club. Corporate clubs, draw from one office, type people, and they may be limited in time. Community clubs, you have a wide range of people in community clubs. Age range, origin, just the whole thing. Keep that in mind. And collegiate clubs, keep in mind with collegiate clubs that they, if it's primarily students, they may be there for the short term. They may have different goals. So always keep that in mind. What do they want to achieve? Why are they there? And I know that somebody's going to say, well, this is another reason, but these are the three that I found are the primary reason people join Toastmasters. They want to increase their speaking skills. They want to become better, more confident speakers. They want to develop their leadership. They're now in a position where they need to supervise people. They need to learn that skills. And some people are there just for social. Clubs have, people in retirement. They have no interest in growing their skills, but they'd like coming, listening to people speak. They'll take roles. They may be given occasional speech, but that is not a high priority for them. That's okay. They're good, solid members. They're not going to help you, achieve your DCP education goals, but they're there. They can lend their experience. They add to the atmosphere, and it's so much better speaking in a group in front of 20 or 30 people than 3 or 4. It adds a different aspect. So if somebody wants to just show up socially, that's acceptable. Where does the club meet? Is it online? I know a number of clubs are still on that online, but on the other side is there's a lot of clubs that are going to meet online going forward. Over the pandemic, they've been able to grab members from different parts of the country, different parts of the world. Online is the only platform that's going to work for that club. Others are back to meeting in person, and that's great. And a lot of them are going hybrid, and hybrid can be different forms. Some clubs are having a virtual and physical presence at both meetings. Others are doing one meeting a month in person and one virtual. And that's something your club has to decide. And the number of factors is comfort level of your members, the facilities, the infrastructure required. This is something you clubs as the officers you need to determine for this year. And there's no right or wrong answer. If it's working, great. If it's not working, how can we do it differently? And why does the club exist? Always remember why that club started, why people keep coming to that club. If you don't have a purpose, that club's not going to last very long. So just keep in mind why you want to meet, why you're there to help each other. Always keep that in mind. And this goes back to what Hannah was saying. This is something you really, as you're promoting the club, what makes your club special? Every club has something special. You know, I'll use an example like Mainline Toastmasters is my home. We meet in a bar restaurant. We eat and drink during our meetings. We have a good time. We're a little more laid back. We do good work. We have fun during our meetings. So find out what that special niche is that makes your club special. Why would somebody join your club? Set and achieve goals. Okay. How many people can hit this target? You're probably all looking, there's no target. That's correct. You can hit a target you can't see. How about this target? You know, even if you were shooting for the bullseye, 15 in this, and you missed it, you wound up with a 2 or a 4. You're still closer to your goal than you were if you were not shooting at a target. So always define your goals. What do you want to achieve? And this is something people have yelled at me. Some clubs, achievement for this year would be to keep active. If your club is struggling with 3 to 5 members, getting to that 8, that's a viable goal, because before you can thrive, you need to survive. I'm hoping most of the people on this call are at clubs that are in good standing, that you have a distinguished club program. You want to be a distinguished club. But that's not the end all be all. It is a method of getting your targets. So I'm just going to go over, I think we're all familiar with SMART goals, but for those of you who aren't, I'm just going to review it quickly. If you want to find out more, there's probably thousands of articles on SMART goals and hundreds of books. It is a great thing, and that's why there's so many. But be specific. What's your goal? Be a distinguished club. And again, if that's not the option for your club, if surviving is an option, but we needed to set a goal. So you want to be distinguished, and I think everybody on this call can be distinguished this year. Measurable. 5 or more distinguished club program goals, plus meeting the membership requirement. I forgot to add that to the slide. Is it achievable? As I just said a minute ago, anybody on this call can be a member of a distinguished club if you start planning now. If you start planning in April, May, it's going to become a lot more difficult. Not saying impossible, a lot more difficult. Right now, you have 11 months and 15 days to become distinguished. Relevant? It's definitely relevant because it's going to make sure you're fulfilling your club's mission and service to your members. Time down, June 30th, 2023. That's a deadline. You need to have everything submitted by then. You need your membership numbers. You need your application. July 1st is after the deadline. So that should be your target. And I'd even advise moving that up to the end of May, just so you have a little bit of wiggle room. But June 30th is a hard deadline. Okay, I'm just going to review the Distinguished Club Program goals. I know many people in this call, I could wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning, you could recite them, and several of you could probably let me know where your club is at the current moment, and still a few more would probably tell me who was going to achieve the goals for the club this year. So if I'm just going to review them quickly. This is all available on the district website, international website. So education, it's 4 level 1 awards, 2 level 2 awards, 2 more level 2 awards, 2 level 3 awards, 1 level 4, level 5, or DTM award, and 1 more level 4 or 5 DTM award. Membership. 4 new, dual, or reinstated members, 4 more new, dual, or reinstated members, and training. And I know As much as we like to think that you're coming here to learn, we know many people on this call are here just so they can get the DCP points. So a minimum of 4 club officers trained in, let me stress this, each of the 2 training periods. So that means you get 4 officers need to be trained this training period, and then the second training period, which is November through February. And people say, we come to them in the winter and say, well, I've already been trained. No, you need both training cycles, and they're different training. We try and use the second half, we try and use because you have some experience in the position. We do different topics. So again, both cycles. Administration, on-time membership payment of 8 or more members by the deadline, which is April 1st and October 1st. You only need to get one of those 2, but the sooner you can get it, the better. And submitting your club officer list on time, which is from the previous years. So hopefully your club put their officers in before the June 30th deadline. And again, as you go forward to next year, make sure with next year's officers, as soon as the elections are conducted, they're entered. It's a gift to next year. So again, and the other thing is there are no partial DCP points. This is one of those things that makes my blood boil, is when people say, well, that's worth half a DCP point. No, there is no half DCP points. 3 members equals 0 DCP points, 4 members equal 1. So there are no half DCP points. Okay. Measuring progress. Okay. If you look there, there's mountains in the very far distance. You're walking towards them. How do you know how much closer you're getting? You don't. You just say, oh, they're getting a little bigger. I must be getting closer. There's no landmarks to do that. With this, American football field, they're marked off in increments. You can see how much closer you're getting to the goal line. And going back to strategic planning, if you start planning now and you're on your own 1-yard line, and you need to get to the other end zone, you take a little bit at a time. You can do some running plays. As long as you're making progress, 10 yards at a time, you can march down that field. Where if you're on the 1-yard line, beginning of April, you're going to have to throw some bombs and hope for some miracles and maybe a couple of Hail Marys here and there. So again, set your targets, measure your goals. Hopefully everyone is aware of this. This is the DCP dashboard. This is accessible through the district website and also the international website. Except for the first 10 days of the month, this is updated daily by Toastmasters International. It lets you know where you're at. This is from last year. This is from the 2021-22. So as you can see, this club started with a base of 13 members. The goal for membership was 18, and we reached that. And you can see where the progress was made on the different educational goals. So always be checking this regularly. Maybe not check it every day, but throughout the year, officers should be checking at least weekly. As we get closer to the end of the year, you should be doing it. Because I know from experience, a couple of years ago when I was program quality director, there were several clubs who missed distinguished by 1 education award. All they would have needed to do is get 1 more person, get a level 1. And I'm pretty sure somebody in that club could have achieved that. And especially if you're in an experienced club and you missing 1 educational award and you have longstanding members, they can crank out 4 or 5 speeches within a 2 or 3 month period. So always be monitoring that, see where you're at. Also, because of where we're at, people are members of several clubs. Be reaching out to members and figuring out, can you give us a level 1 or is that going to another club? Just have them do it, because there's no sense in doing 2 level 1s for 1 club when you're a member of 2 clubs. So always be working with the BPE and finding out where they can best use education goals. But be monitoring this, find out what awards you need, and work with the members. And again, this is goals The DCP is not the end all. Okay. Are you meeting the needs of your members? And this is the most important part of the presentation is, are your members being served? Everyone joined Toastmasters for a specific reason. They wanted to improve their public speaking. They wanted to be a better leader. In a lot of cases, their bosses told them. So are they getting value out of their time? You know, for some people, it's a money issue, but for most people, I've heard more people say, well, I don't have the time for Toastmasters, rather than it being a financial constraint. And what that I'm hearing with that is, it's not worth my time. If people can be doing anything, if they feel they're using their time, they're developing, they're getting better, then they're going to think it's time well spent. Are your members using the available resources? The international website, the district website, other districts, including our district, and Google as a whole. Any question you need answered, it's out there. It's just a matter of looking for it. And as much as we'd like to share all this information, there's just so much. It's like drinking from the fires. So just be on the lookout for information. And if you find a piece of information that you think would be beneficial and it's not on our district website, let the trio know. We can get it on the website. We're always looking to add content, relevant content to that. Are your members getting credit? And I will plead guilty to this one. Numerous clubs, we have members giving speeches, giving a speech every other month, giving speeches regularly. They're not progressing in pathways. They're giving the speeches, but they're not getting credit for it. They're not going through the process. I see Paul Carone's on the call. He's going to be doing, in addition to this training, again on Monday, he's going to be doing a training on pathways, how to make sure people get credit through pathways. Encourage them to submit their rewards, not just giving speeches, but get credit. You're doing the work, why not get credit for it? Example is, you're doing a job, well, I don't need the paycheck. So just think of it that way. Even though it's not monetary, when you get that little email, that little blurb, congratulations on you getting your level 2, your level 3, it makes you feel good. So again, you're doing the work, get the credit. Are you seeing the value? Is it where, I touched on this in the beginning, are your members getting their financial reward for it? Are they their time commitment for it? And are members supporting other members? Toastmasters is built upon members helping others. We're a support group. We support each other. We encourage people. We grow. There's many people on this call that I'm looking at who are still Toastmasters because they enjoy helping others grow and they grow themselves. I've seen too many members who come in to meetings once a month, once every other month, and they just give speeches. They're not there. They're not doing evaluations. They're not performing the functionary roles. We're here to support each other and be there, even just being an audience for somebody. As I said earlier, giving a speech in front of 20 or 30 people is a lot different than giving a speech in front of 3 or 4 people, or on a Zoom call where everybody has their cameras off. It is a totally different vibe. So be there, support the other members, encourage them, mentor them. Even if you're not in a position to be a mentor, be a buddy, be an accountability buddy. In my breakout group earlier, that came up that they don't have enough people to be members. Encourage people, just newer members, be accountability buddies. Help each other create your speech, bounce ideas off of, hold each other accountable to why you joined Toastmasters. Resources. As I said earlier, there is a plethora of resources, but the 2 I want to focus on, and I'm just going to do this at a high level, is the Distinguished Club Program and Success Plan and the Moments of Truth. So the DCP and Club Success Plan, it's a manual. It is downloadable. It is on the district website. I will send the link out at the end of this presentation. But if you go to tmdistrict38.org, there's a tab that says resources. And there's one specifically for each of the club officers. And this, I know, these resources are under presidents, but I think they're under a couple different ones. And you don't need to log in. They're open to the general public. So, look around, see what good resources they may be there. It may even not be role specific, but it explains what the Distinguished Club program is. It goes into a lot more detail than the overview I just did. And then it helps you create a club success plan. And this is something every club should be doing between now and the middle of September. That would give you over 9 months to implement the plan, and it focuses on the team. Who is creating this plan? Who are the stakeholders? In most cases, it's going to be the club officers, but in some clubs, you have key members who are not club officers. I'll use my example again. I am a member of Mainline Toastmasters. I consider myself a key member. I am not an officer this year. For the first time in like 7 years, I am not a club officer, and it feels good, but they still rely on me for advice and feedback. I am a member of that team. Foundation and framework. How is the club organized? What strengths do you have? Then educational goals. They list each of these DCP points. How are you going to achieve those goals? And again, this is planning by putting somebody's name down on there. It's not written in stone, but it is encouraged on who can achieve certain goals. If you have a new member, unless they're really dedicated, I'm not saying this can't be done, they're probably not going to get a level 3 or a 4. But somebody who just joined a level 1 by June, that is definitely doable and should be encouraged. And that's one way to make sure that they're progressing through the program and getting value out of it. Membership goals. This is one of the key problems clubs, districts, Toastmasters has had since the start of the pandemic. But even pre-pandemic, this was always an issue, finding members. So come up with a plan how to do it. Yeah, and each club is going to be a little bit different. If you're a corporate club, it's going to be different than a community club. If you're an online club where anybody in the world can join, it's going to be a little bit different. But sit down with your team, figure out what your strengths are, how to market the club, how to get people in. Yeah. And one of the things is a number of clubs have no problem attracting guests, but they have trouble converting them. Find out what the disconnect is in converting members. Training goals. How are you going to get people to these trainings? The district does a good job of notifying the clubs. The area directors reach out, letting people know. As club officers, let the other club officers know that coming to training is an expectation, but it's also a bonus. You have access to some of the best training in the world for free, and you get credit for it also. So it's really a good opportunity. Don't look at it as a responsibility. Look at it as a bonus. Also, invite other club members. It's designed for club officers. You do not need to be a club officer to attend. You don't even need to be a Toastmaster to attend. This way, as you go next year to fill the leadership roles in the club, they're going to be aware of what the roles do. They're going to be ahead of the game. They're not going to be afraid of the unknown. And that's a lot of times what people's hesitancy is for being club officers. Well, they don't know what they're doing. In all honesty, for those of us who have served as club officers, district officers, we don't know what we're doing when we begin. We learn as we're going. We rely on those who came before us and those who are in the same position. We share ideas. We help each other. We hold each other's hands throughout the process. Not knowing how to do something is not an excuse for not doing it. And administration goals, work on getting your club the renewals in early. Generally, the renewals open about 6 weeks before the deadline. So they're usually going to open up in mid-August and mid-February. There's no hard and fast dates. Toastmasters International is working on a method, and this is part of the thing with this system upgrade, where members are going to be able to pay their dues themselves. It's coming. I would not hold my breath, but it is in the works. And that, I think, is going to make it a lot easier because, as I've said or for most people, the dues, it's not a matter of the dollar amount, it's a matter of getting it paid and facilitating that, especially if a club doesn't have a bank account. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible for that. And it also lists on that, in this English Club program, all the resources, excuse me, not all the resources, because that would take several books, but the key resources that will help you as club officers and grow. Okay. Moments of truth. This is a club self-assessment. This is a great resource to find out where your club strengths and your weaknesses are, opportunities for growth. And, so what you're going to do, and I've noticed over the years that clubs have generally one of three problems. One, from the membership aspect, one, getting members or guests to show up. Two, having guests turn into members, or three, keeping members. Those are generally the three problems. Moments of Truth is going to help you identify that. And some clubs do surveys. There's no right or wrong way to do this. But some clubs do surveys of their entire membership. Others develop a committee to help do this, and they focus on three things. First impressions. If I was somebody checking out your club for the first time, what would my impression be? If you're meeting in person and you say you meet at XYZ bar on Thursday nights at 7, you show up there Thursday nights at 7, you later find out they're now meeting at the library on Wednesdays at 6. Is that really a good first impression? When they go to the website, if somebody goes to your website and it says next meeting and it's 2019, that's really not saying a good first impression. If somebody comes to your meeting, whether in person or online, and things are chaotic, they're not addressed, they're ignored, that's not setting up a good first impression. You want to make sure that when somebody checks you out for the first time, they're wowed by you. The biggest thing I can say is when you go to a club, and I'm sure those of us who have been in many clubs, you go to a club and be like, I want to be part of this. There's something special about this. I want to be part of that. That is the best first impression you can give. Membership orientation. When somebody joins your club, are they assigned a mentor? Does somebody work them through signing up for pathways? Are goals set for them? Do they know what the meeting protocol? Or it's just, okay, your check cleared, you're a member, and then leave them on their own. Those are the members who, after 3 or 4 months, when it comes time for the next renewal cycle, you never see them again. Fellowship, variety, and communication. Is the club fun? Even online, clubs can be fun. We can have a good time. We can laugh in person. Is it a club you want to be a part of? Variety is the same thing over and over again. You have themes for your meeting. Are table topics fun and interesting? And communication. Are members is there a club newsletter? Are there emails letting people know when the next meeting are? Is there a recap of it? Program planning and organization. This goes back a lots of first impressions. You go into a meeting, and first thing they do is, after welcoming you, hand you an agenda. All the roles are filled. They go through the roles, well organized. Wow, this is a great club. I wish my company could be this organized. As opposed to you go into a meeting and there's no agenda. They're looking for roles. They're looking for speakers. Not giving a good first impression. And the other thing is, I understand, I've been to probably a couple hundred meetings over my years. I think 1 or 2, actually everyone on the agenda showed up and we went exactly as the agenda was done. Life happens. You get stuck at work, you have a family emergency, you have a mix up on schedule. This is a great opportunity to sell this to prospective members, saying part of the skills you learn at Toastmasters is adjusting on the fly. And it is really beneficial. And all these skills are transferable outside of Toastmasters. Membership strength, I touched on this before. It's in the district success or club success plan, excuse me. How you're going to get members. Make sure you know what your target number is. We like to throw 20 around because that's the minimum. But if you started out the year with less than 15, it's a plus. It's a growth of 5 members. So always keep that in mind, what your target base is. Achievement recognition. Going back to what I said earlier about you're giving speeches, you're doing projects, get the credit for it. Well, at your meetings, congratulate those who have achieved goals, whether it's an icebreaker, a level 1, level 2, celebrate them. If somebody gets a promotion or award outside of Toastmasters, celebrate it. Show that what we learn in Toastmasters helps us in the outside world. So, recognize if you have a newsletter, highlight different members. Make sure people, if they achieve something, it's recognized, and it's going to make them feel good, but it's also going to encourage other people. Another thing with the membership growing, this is if you're a member of a corporate club and the corporation is back, people are back in the offices, this is a great opportunity. Give certificates, give awards, and encourage people to put it in their office, put it at their cubicle, somewhere where it's going to spark a conversation. People aren't going to know what a level 2 is outside Toastmasters, but if you have that ribbon, it may spark a conversation. You can explain what Toastmasters is all about, encourage them to check out a meeting. And then I am going to leave this with the Toastmasters mission and values. I know in the first training, Rhonda touched on this, but I always like to point these out in my presentations. Is Toastmasters International mission is we empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. The club mission, we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. We provide a safe, supportive environment where members can grow without fear of, people being negative. There's a lot of negativity in this world. We want to provide a positive atmosphere where people can feel comfortable. And as much, again, there's certain things I say that makes people cringe. Toastmasters is a good place to fail. You learn more from your mistakes. I think most of the people on here who have been Toastmasters for several years have given a speech and they've sat down and go, why? Why did I give that? Again, but it makes for a great story and you learn from that. You're going to be better prepared next time. And lastly, the Toastmasters International core values: integrity, respect, service, and excellence. And for those of you who haven't heard it before, a lot of people say it's got to build in an acronym, RISE, and that would fit in. They chose integrity because without integrity, nothing else matters. If you have any questions, we can put this in the chat. I am not a hard man to find. It's toastmasterjoesmith@gmail.com. You don't need to capitalize the letters in there. That's just for emphasis, make it easier to read. And the resources, the club officer roles, it's on tmdistrict38.org and club officers-tools. I encourage you, check out the district website. There are numerous resources on there. Over my last couple of years in district leadership, I have received numerous emails, and if somebody would have taken 5 minutes to check out the district website, they would have answered the question there. So check it out. If it's a rainy day, take a half hour. You're going to find a lot of information. Share it. Almost everything on there is open to the public. You don't need to log in. You don't need to log into Toastmasters International. It's there for anybody. Share it with your other officers, share it with your members, share it with prospective members. If you find something that's not on there that you think would benefit other clubs, share it with the trio. We will have it put, excuse me, I can't say the word we. Not a we anymore, it's a they. They will put it on the district website. So I think that's the end of my presentation.